For more than 20 years, Waterloo has been a statewide leader in brownfield redevelopment. Much like foster parenting, Waterloo has stepped in to take title to sites that have been either neglected or perhaps abandoned and invested in their redevelopment planning. And they've not only taken sites and gotten them reused, they've changed entire blocks, neighborhoods, and the whole community.
So a brownfield site is a site that is either contaminated or perceived to be contaminated, usually from past uses such as gas stations or heavy manufacturing plants, something that could have potentially had some kind of a negative environmental impact on the area. You know, the City of Waterloo was formerly known as the factory town of Iowa, so we had a lot of manufacturing plants here. So as we move ahead to kind of the newer industries that we're attracting here, we have a lot of plants that were closed in the 1980s. The Rath Packing Plant Company, the Chamberlain site, and some other energy stations. So we're looking at redeveloping those brownfields, primarily because, you know, it's the right thing to do by cleaning up these sites and getting new investment in there. Plus, a lot of these areas are within our existing neighborhoods or existing commercial districts, so it's a nice infill development strategy to where we're using existing infrastructure but bringing new employment and new industry. The city's been fortunate to have the partnerships of, you know, not only the private investors that come in at the end to develop the sites for businesses, but also working on the forefront with the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, the Iowa Department of Natural Resources to help us find funding, find grants to move ahead with these, as well as their expertise in helping us to figure out the steps to move ahead with them.
Brownfield projects require many partners, and whether it be the EPA or the Iowa DNR providing funding to the City of Waterloo, it's these putting together the pieces of the puzzle that would, again, not occur without that. So the City of Waterloo does not have the financial resources on their own to come in and address this problem, which can extend much beyond individual sites, but it's a more systemic issue. And being able to secure funding from sources that are either federal or state allow the city to come in and address these properties.
The Brownfield program mission is that we empower stakeholders, partners, cities, and communities to work together. And the thing that we emphasize in that is that we empower you to do the work. We empower you to bring people together to go and make the work happen. EPA is not coming into your neighborhoods to build these things. We are facilitating your ability to make this stuff happen. And that is really what this program is about. It's about communities coming together and realizing how they can make things better in their communities.
The Iowa DNR, first and foremost, wants to help communities deal with environmental issues or hazardous materials on properties for the safety of the public, as well as the betterment of the environment. But more importantly, the physical changes at a site, the DNR really wants to help communities remain sustainable and grow both culturally and economically. And brownfield redevelopment accomplishes both. When you change the impression, when you change the interest in a site, when you bring people back to an area or a district, that kind of spreads in reverse. And what happens is other people, they want to be where the interest is. They want to be where the activity is. And this is what brings other investment, other development, and other value to the community.
I think from a positive standpoint from the city, you know, when we're redeveloping a site such as the former CMC site into the public works or the Rath area or the Chamberlain site we're working on, the positive impacts, it has a positive impact on the surrounding neighborhoods. You know, instead of them seeing a blighted building or an empty site sitting there, they'll be seeing some new development, whether it's housing, whether it's business, go back in there. It's also a good way to gain new tax base, new jobs to the area, again, by using existing infrastructure, so we're not overextending the city's you know, financial management in the future by having to add extra infrastructure to new industrial parks, but by reusing these sites.
Here we are living in Iowa, the prime ag land capital of the Midwest. We can just take up more prime ag land and build, and not that that's wrong, because there's many developments that need to go out near the interchange of I-380 and US 20. But if we can reuse what's already here, why abandon this stuff? Because we already have infrastructure there. We already have streets, we already have sewers. And so maybe somebody would buy the land out the edge, but the City of Waterloo usually is the one that's responsible for getting the sanitary sewer, the streets put back in, extended, et cetera, et cetera.
With the redevelopment of these sites, the residents of Waterloo benefit in many positive ways. Number one, they're seeing the reinvestment in their neighborhoods, so they're seeing that the city cares and is working to, basically reinvest in these areas and improve them. Number two, that they know that the city is trying to look after their best interests, working with the EPA, working with the DNR to try and make sure that there is no negative environmental impacts that are out there to be worried about by cleaning up these sites. And number three, again, we're bringing in new jobs, new tax base into some of these existing older industrial areas, business areas, and residential areas to try and make a positive impact on this community.
So the reuse of the site is going to bring additional jobs to this area. It's going to be expansion of a small business, and beyond just the jobs created and tax revenue generated, it's going to provide it's going to reduce the safety concerns that were previously experienced in this neighborhood.
Waterloo's been a real leader in this. The commitment has been from both city elected leadership, city administration, and community and economic development departments and partners to step in where other people wouldn't. Sometimes that can be risk-taking, but when you have an idea of what you're trying to accomplish and you come in and take control of a site, work with your citizens, work with your community groups, you can come up with a reuse and redevelopment plan that really will take these locations and the entire city 20 to 50 years down the road.
Well, the future for Waterloo is bright. The city leaders of Waterloo are committed to an engagement with their community, to an engagement with their people over the redevelopment, and that is what makes redevelopment successful. That being involved with your community is what makes Brownfields redevelopment real.